Now we are going with that. We are our fourth speaker of this morning. Well, in my case, in my country's morning. So please say hi to two. And I'm Guyen. I'm sorry if but could you please repeat your name in order to say it good or say it well?
Oh, it's a very difficult name because it's in Vietnamese, but you can try it. It's Thu.
Two. It's okay.
Yes, it's okay.
Too. Okay, so cool. Thank you so much for being here with us today. You have such an amazing story, and also you are talking about this topic. And I'm going to say that title of your talk, that is restoring the lost connection, garden-based learning and STEAM education. I feel that title says a lot, but also as someone who is not into garden-based learning, I want to learn. I am very curious about what you're going to say with that title. Two is a sustainable activist and a student research. She is a senior high school student, an aspiring scientist, and a policymaker. Two's focus range from sustainable development, education, human rights, and applications of STEAM in climate change. With her experience of managing a sustainable wellness startup, oh, you're such a CEO. It's so cool to hear that too. And she wishes to clarify the relationship between people and the environment. She believes in a circular economy, inclusivity, and climate justice to achieve sustainable goals. Recently, she represented youth at the regional session of UNEP Science Policy Business Forum for Asia and the Pacific. She has such an amazing journey. I'm really excited to hear you too. And I know all the attendees here are really excited to hear and learn from you. So go on, the floor is yours too.
Thank you, Isabella, for your introduction. So I'm very glad to be here with the Youth STEM Summit today. Since I only have 6 minutes for this lightning talk, I will begin with my very personal story. This pandemic, this very, very long pandemic, I've had a lot of time to reflect about everything: the important, the compelling, the underlying connection between us and nature, as well as the urgent and critical work that lies ahead of us all. And whenever I think about what brings us to a love of nature, what brings me personally to a love of nature, I always end up at the beginning. I live in the bustling city of Hanoi, the center, the capital of Vietnam. Yet my heart always longed for my peaceful hometown, an agricultural province in the northern Vietnam. Every summer back home used to be a season of running through the green fields, feeling my hands and feet grasping the freshness of nature. My playgrounds were the fields, the hills, and the streams surrounding my village. And I was lucky enough, I would consider, to be able to watch the stars in the night sky, to eat plant medicine, to listen to the seasons, to hear the music of the fierce as a child. Though I couldn't explain it at the time, the seamlessness of existence, the sense of being connected to the earth and to the people around me was given through a complete embrace of nature, and also just the love of those living around me, those living near the nature. And it was from there that I developed an interest in nature, and where I learned how each tree was planted, how agriculture works, how what the proper measurements for each fertilizer, and how to utilize technology to make agriculture more effective. I learned from nature, and I deeply cherish my connection with nature. And now, during the pandemic, I started to wonder. I live in the city. I'm surrounded by concrete jungle. And in the city, nature are perceived as something so far away. You have to be near the forest, you have to go to the wood, you have to go on a road trip to be near nature. But that's normally not the case. I have nature at my home. I nurture some of my very own plants. Yes, it's sad to see that not many people, not many children nowadays truly understand nature. But while that connection is so important, it's the basis to a lot of things. The connection to nature is will result in a change in awareness, will bring in a love of nature, and will bring in a drive to protect nature and to protect Earth from climate change. And I started to wonder, where could I start to restore this connection? And I believe it started with schooling. Thus, I read through different environmental education journals and got my hand on this very new concept of garden based learning, which no researcher here in Vietnam has ever covered before. And I started to carry out my own research on garden based learning and STEM education. Now, to many of you, this might be a new concept, but garden based learning can be defined as a pedagogy that turns a garden into a teaching environment, a teaching tool. It might be seen as an educational reform or as a transformation of the current basic education into a more attractive one. Simply said, when it comes to garden-based learning, the garden is no longer a place where the children students can grow vegetables. The garden turns into a learning environment, allowing students to be creative when interacting with nature. And what I found during my research is that through garden based learning, students can not only be exposed to nature, but also improve their ability and understanding of natural sciences, as well as understanding of social studies, including like history and culture. And, especially natural science, it includes STEM, of course. Um, Yet, despite its numerous positive effects, why is garden based learning program not popular and widespread across countries? From what I found after coding of my research, it's considerable explanation for it is that many schools here in Vietnam, and I believe it's the case for many other countries as well, subjects related to natural science, aka STEM subjects, are more emphasized than ever. For example, because of the increasing pressure of ensuring students to perform well in competitive areas such as mathematics, science, teachers often feel insecure, which eventually leads them to maintain their teaching styles of the indoor classroom, which is more relatable and comfortable to them, and rejecting the outdoor garden learning, which is not so popular and not so widely proved to be efficient to students' academic outcome yet. But what I found most interesting, the biggest barrier to why this model is not becoming popular, is that when I talk to different school administrators, I talk to a lot of school administrators all across Vietnam from both the private sectors, the public sectors, and also those coming from under-resourced community. I found that they lack the resources to do so. The land, the funding, and the human resources. Many of them are willing to adopt this model, yet they have a barrier to overcome. Governmental funding, local funding, they are very rarely allocated to these areas for schoolings, especially for establishing an entire new garden in the school, right? Which is truly disheartening. If the natural world teaches us anything, it is that anyone and everything is interconnected. STEM and nature may not sound too related, yet there's an inseparable connection. We just need the will and a larger movement to make this possible. For example, like those administrators that I talked to, many of them have the will. They're so willing to learn this new model and they were so thrilled by it. Yet they do not have the resources, they do not have the funding to. So it's very disheartening to see that this connection with nature, which is so inherent in our past communities, is the basis of our community, right? It's the basis towards our drive for the future, towards achieving sustainable development goals. It's being lost. So I may not succeed yet in completing my research, presenting it on a larger scale. But I will be on my step. I'm on my step and I will continue to be on it, and I will continue to support restoring the connection that was lost. But I hope that you as youth can raise your voice, can realize that there's something lost that we can do about it, because the connection was taken away from us. And I hope that this can be realized on a larger level, and one day human and nature can bring back this inseparable, so beautiful, wondrous connection. Thank you very much for listening.
Oh, that was so great. As someone who loves activism in the field of education, I never imagined that there was a way to connect STEAM, to connect my passion for education with nature. And as some people were saying on the chat, the solutions are on nature. We need to continue with this connection and to embrace this solution that it's so powerful and it's so near to us. So thank you so much too. It was so exciting to hear you talk about your passion. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Isabella.
Yeah, remember everyone that you have the social media of all the speakers that were amazing, and you can contact them and you can have a new partner. Maybe start doing networking with these amazing people that has so much passion and is already changing the world.